My name is Robert Granado. I'm with the University of Texas at San Antonio. I've been there 19 years. Work in the academic technology office, part of the Office of Information Technology. And a little background, a little bit about myself before we dive straight into the presentation. I work mainly with distance education the majority of my time that I've been there. Our form of distance education back then was building these interactive video conference rooms, linking them to our satellite campuses and cohort universities. So we've been doing it since it was analog, and it was all Polycom-based or Cisco, Tandberg-based, some of those names. We recently, about 3 years ago, upgraded those to digital. We took 10 of our rooms and moved them to high def. And we put all the bells and whistles in there, auto tracking cameras, recording system for lecture capture in there, ability to be touchscreen and so forth, to automate it as much as we could so the professor could do what he had to do and try to make the technology transparent. The rooms are great, but for 10 rooms, it averaged about $90,000 in just the equipment to purchase all that. So you can do the math. We wound up doing all the installation ourselves in-house to save money. And there's always been bugs over the last 2 or 3 years of us trying to make it look as transparent as possible to the instructor. So to get to where I am now, we're like, this isn't scalable. We can't go do 300 rooms on the classroom because people wanted lecture capture, want the ability to do something quick and fast. So we're like, what can we do to save money? Well, we at UTSA happen to be a big Microsoft-centric campus. We have, and I'll just go to the next slide. Under Microsoft, we have what we call Lync 2013. How many of y'all are familiar with Lync 2013? Okay, and how many of y'all know that it's now Skype for Business? Okay, good. So we started deploying that and quickly found out it had a recording function on there. So that's where I did some investigating and saying, okay, how can we use the Skype for Business to our advantage? Well, as y'all know, it's incorporated in Office 365. It's part of our tool set of everything that we do. We deployed it out. Faculty didn't even know that it was part, they just see this icon. They didn't know what it was. We had to communicate to them that it was video collaborating, and it had so many uses in there. And it's available to all our faculty staff at UTSA. We have a pretty good license agreement with Microsoft under the UT system. University, the flagship in Austin, got all the component use of the university is good. So they go, here you go, do what you want. So that's where we decided we're gonna use Lync 2013 to our advantage. So we started experimenting with it in-house, and we're like, well, what kind of other practical uses can it be? You can use it for web meetings with team members. You can use it for virtual group project collaboration for students, video collaboration between the professor and the student. The most obvious one we get a lot of requests for is to invite a guest speaker to come and speak live in the class. So we quickly try to get people off of their WebEx subscriptions or Adobe Connect subscriptions, GoToMeeting, all those stuff where departments were paying licenses, monthly licenses. So we're trying to help them save money. We're like, Skype is part of your tool set. You don't have to pay for it. It just requires a little training. So advising, even our advising department, uses it, and instructors use it for office hours. So we had all those, and I was like, well, why not use it for lecture capture in the classroom? It's, like I said, it's an enterprise software. It's a software-based solution, and it's scalable. So we just had to do a little working at our end before we decided. And we're like, okay, well, we're going to try to create a pilot out of this. So in the fall 2014, we, using some of my connections with some of the faculty being there, I worked closely with throughout the years, I kind of figured out who likes to do this sort of stuff and who wants to do it. So I was able to recruit two people from the history department, 2 from the accounting, 1 from psychology, and 1 from the economics department. I tried to do some for the engineering, but they were stuck on Camtasia and they didn't want to change. And I'm like, that's fine. This is just a service we're offering to use. You know, it's just something that's free. So, to ensure that this was going to be a successful, pilot, I provided those faculty members with a USB webcam and microphones. We also did one-on-one training with each faculty member so that they would be successful that first day when they started in the classroom. Did a lot of hand-holding and then realized, okay, I'm going to have to create some documentation. So we did some nice little documentation. I didn't bring them out of my bag, but nice quick reference cards for them to be able to reference when they had questions. And then we went even as far as to create an online interactive tutorial. First one we had to do was Lync, because we did this and we were like halfway through this pilot, and then I realized Microsoft, because in case y'all don't know, Microsoft owns Skype. I guess maybe the Lync wasn't taking off the way they wanted to, or their Lync department maybe wasn't doing as good as their Skype, but they were like, we're changing it all, Lync is going away, it's now becoming Skype. So we had to, on the fly, create a Skype for Business tutorial and kind of work on when we were going to just push that out to all our desktop computers around the university. So that was a little tricky right in the middle of the pilot, right? But we were able to finish off with Lync, and then the next semester move them over to Skype for Business. So before this pilot was implemented in the fall 2014, we did a little work in the back end, and I realized that some of the departments still had Lync 2013, and I found out from our network team, we were hosting it on servers on campus. And so it took a while for them to get that migrated to the cloud. So now it's all hosted in the cloud, and we had to move to 2013 before we could do this. So that took a little legwork. The Lync recording manager function of Skype, which is now Skype, I should have changed that to Skype. I did a lot of testing in our classroom, and I had to make sure that once that was recorded, that they could actually get that off of the computer in the classroom or their tablet or wherever it is that we're recording on, and be able to share that easily with the students. So we had to make sure we had good bandwidth to each desktop in the classroom. And of course, we actually surveyed faculty before about a software-based lecture capture process in the classroom to get their input on this. And then right after the program, I quickly tried to get faculty that were part of the program to be a champion in their department and recruit other faculty to get this to move faster. Yes. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that's a good question, because I don't know if y'all mentioned it. All they really did, Microsoft, all they did was just change the color scheme and change the GUI interface. Everything literally it's a little bit more Skypey, and I'll show you some. We're going to go through this in a minute. I'm going to actually do a demo and show you how to record, and so you can have a little bit of takeaway on how to do that. But it's exactly the same thing, and they still work together. So if there's a university who hasn't made the change to Lync 2013 to Skype for Business, they still talk to each other. Yes. Yes, they both have a recording too, and I'm going to show you that here in just a moment, which is why I got this little handy microphone here, extra one. So, in the classroom, we also went through it coincided with our classroom refresh upgrade in our classroom, so I made sure that we had upgraded all our computers in there to a Windows 8.1 with 8 gigs of RAM and a good CPU in there. And we also replaced the monitors in each classroom with a touchscreen monitor. And they had the little stylus that they could take in there, so that helped kind of facilitate the process for those that like to annotate over their content, whatever it is they're recording. So that was that was a cool function for them. And of course, we had to make sure we had extra USB ports, and since I work closely with the classroom support technology installation team, we went in there and just put a nice little interface in there that broke out from the main one that had 3 or 4 USB ports right at the podium. So they had a webcam, they had an eye clicker, anything that all those things that they need. They had enough USB ports so that it wouldn't be a problem. So this is where I'm going to go in, and I'm just going to show you how we use Skype for Business. That's kind of the quick shot there of what it looks like. And before we go in and dive into it, you kind of have to make a decision if you're a faculty member. How are you going to record your lecture? Because Skype is has so many options. Are you just going to record your voice over the computer content the whole time and then share that with your students after the fact? Or are you going to bring a webcam and you're going to do both? And so it's something you have to practice with because you'll see the layout looks differently after the recording. Or are you just going to be a talking head, a quick talking head, and you're not talking about really showing any content, it's just you. So you have 3 ways to do that. So, and the cool function about Skype for Business is it's integrated with your Office 365 platform, so your Outlook. So you can actually create, and I'll show you a link that I have in there as well, the session ahead of time. So if you don't want to do just a quickly ad hoc meet now, you could actually put it on your calendar, and it'll sync up with the little calendar and your Skype, and you'll be able to click on that, and the title of whatever that session is will automatically be imported into your session. But for these purposes, I'm just going to show you how to do a quick meet now ad hoc. So if I was like going, okay, I'm going to go ahead and start recording this lecture. I'm going to hit escape here and bring up my handy Skype right here. Okay. I'll let you look at my messy desktop there. As you see, I did create one ahead of time, and it's there on my calendar. I could click that, and it would actually start the meeting, and I would be in there all by myself, and I could start recording. But most faculty don't take the time, or most people don't take the time, and they just want to do one really quick, and so they just hit the Meet Now function. But before we do that, I always advise, make sure your microphone, because we've had faculty that go, man, it worked great, 4th session into it, but it was my fault. I forgot to unmute the microphone, or I forgot to make sure that the computer recognized the microphone that was there. And so they get a long, 50-minute lecture with no voice on it, or they included themselves, but in the webcam automatically came up with no voice. So that can be a little stumbling block. So I always go to the tools, go to your audio device settings, and I did this ahead of time before I started to make sure it was there. And the nice thing about this little guy here that I have, it's made by Revel Labs. It's an X-Tag little USB microphone. This is connected USB, so this guy will allow you to walk far away. So, I know there's Bluetooth devices, but those can be kind of, and you got to be a certain amount of feet from your recording device. But this could actually allow me to walk around the room if I wanted to, and it should still pick up pretty good as this demonstration shows. And I could be over here, and you could actually pass it off. This little recording device, you could pass that off to somebody else if you had a dual presenter with you. So this worked really good right here. And the quality is really great. It's called X-Tag by Revel Labs. Revel Labs. And if you come up afterwards, I'll take a closer look at it. They run about, it can be a little pricey on Amazon, anywhere. They run between $150 to $225, depending on what site you get it from. But there we go. If you had a webcam built in, this one has the one on the built-in. This is a little Surface right here, so this one already has one. So I'm actually good to go. So I am going to say, let's start this meeting. And so once you start it, you can minimize the main interface. Oh, I should have closed down my email. Sorry about that. Once you started, you can look, and you got your main interface here. And then you have the conversation. They called it, since I did a Meet Now, it just calls it a conversation. If I clicked on that meeting from my calendar Outlook, you would have seen the title of that meeting right there that I had titled it. So, but once you start, this is the one you want to work with, right here. And so I will go full screen, and there I am. For this purpose, I'm not going to add my video in it. Well, you know what? I'll do both. I'll add it and then take it off, so that you can, when we play back the recording, you can see the difference in how the video capture looks. Most faculty do not turn on their camera. Most folks just do their voice over their content, as I will show you a demo from one of the pilots, and you'll see why. So First thing you do is you go to right here, you present. And this is where you go up and you click. And if you had dual monitors, this worked really cool. So when I dock this in my desktop and I want to do a little quick training session for my staff and record it, it'll show two desktops. So I can actually present content on one desktop and have my video on the other one so I can see what they're seeing, what's being recorded on the video part. And you can decide which desktop you want to share. You can actually share just a specific program, a PowerPoint if you wanted to, or Excel or something. I always just say go to desktop. It takes up a little bit less resources on your computer, bandwidth resources, and it allows you to go back and forth between everything. It takes a little bit longer to process at the end for recording, but it's just a no-brainer in my opinion. So I'm going to present desktop, and it's telling me that that's what's being presented. And Skype is really nice about letting you know that this yellow, everything in here is being recorded, right? And you also get, well, not being recorded, being presented at this time, excuse me. And you get this little bar up here that reminds you and tells you that you're presenting the desktop, so that's good. But if that gets in your way of your content that you're recording, you can easily unpin this, and it just kind of does an auto-hide feature right there. So it's just a personal preference if you want it there to give yourself the reminder that's there. So I'll just keep it there. So now I'm there, and I am going to go to the recording mode next. So you go to the little ellipsis on the far right here, and there it is, start recording. Okay, so I will quickly start recording, and I will minimize this because I don't need to see the Skype interface because that's not what I'm interested in. I'm interested in the cool recording feature. So I minimize that, and now it tells me that your recording is in progress. So you've got all these little reminders up here that tells you that you're recording. And so you can quickly dive back into a presentation, back into the presentation, kind of go about your business. You can actually go to a website from here. And I will just kind of like open up different things so that we can see from the capture process that it's recording different things here. You can actually open up a whiteboard. So what I normally tell faculty do this, but they're like, well, I need to write on the document camera or on the board at some point. I'm like, just open up, and I'm sure a lot of people forget about this. If you just open up a blank presentation of a whole bunch of blank slides and have them ready to go. And once I go into this, full screen as a slide, this PowerPoint blank slide works as a really handy whiteboarding or a document camera writing on the board. If you go down to this corner right here, then you've got your pin, right? And I want to do a pin. I happen to have my Surface, so I have a pin, and that's why we do the touch screens in the classroom in case they wanted to do this. They can write this feature, test today. Just kidding, there is no test after this. So, so that's a cool little tip, and that's kind of one of the things we show them how to do. I will discard that. But you can actually, the PowerPoint has the tools for the eraser, and then you can erase, and you can share and do different stuff with that. So I think we got a good probably maybe 10-minute video there, or maybe 5-minute video. So we will go back to Skype, and let's say the lecture is over. You go back here, and you can just hit stop recording right here. Goes away. Once you hit stop recording, you can actually hang up the call. You can just close down the whole Skype, whatever it is that you want to do once you're done. So you could stop presenting and go through the backwards process. But if I just close it down, it's just gonna leave it. And then we're done. Oh, where did the recording go? Okay. So normally what will happen is I'll get a little notification here. There it goes, that the recording has stopped and it's in progress. So the recording manager comes up right in here. But for whatever reason it didn't, or you want to go back and access recordings that you've done later, you just go back to the main Skype interface, go to your tools, recording manager, and there it is. Look at and it's creating what we did just a little while ago. As you can see, there's a whole bunch that I've done in the past. And depending on the speed of the computers, this is another reason we had to have faster computers in the classroom, because we had to make sure a faculty, if they were using in the classroom, they had enough time between another faculty coming behind them and getting that video to be processed and finished. One of the things we did do for them is in the training, we showed them how to, instead of having it locally to the computer, map it to a network drive that we provide from on campus on a folder, so when it's done, instead of pushing it here, it pushes it there to their network drive, and they're done. That way, if there's a faculty member right behind them getting ready to teach the next class, they know that they can walk back to their office or log on to their laptop or something, and the MP4 that Skype creates is right there ready for them to share. And we'll get into another part of the presentation, how we help them share that video. Okay. So if you want to see what it looks like, we are going to just go ahead and just hit play. And this is where the title would have come in handy if I had put that there. I tried to put the audio, but it wasn't. But you can kind of hear me coming out of the little speakers here. You know what? I never turned on the webcam. Like I said, if I had gone back, the nice thing about it, you can go on the fly and turn your webcam on and off. And what it does, it just kind of does a side-by-side capture. So the video of you is there, and the content, and then your content is there. But what happens, it tries to keep it as the aspect ratio correctly, so your content doesn't take as much precedence as you would like it. So a lot of faculty will just start the webcam, introduce themselves at the beginning of the lecture, say something, turn it off, and make sure that the content is their main focus and besides them. It's all personal preference. And this is just, I just wanted, you can demonstrate how the quality of what it is that it's recording. And you can see why we're trying to help departments from our perspective, from OIT and academic technology services, on help them use something without having to go spend money on a license or subscription for something, And the cool thing about it is they get, because of the Office 365, they can get this loaded on 5 devices, as part of the agreement. So you could load it on your 5 laptops if you had it. It's already in the classrooms, but if you have a personal one, you log on to our portal, and it allows you to download the Skype. Because you can get the Skype, but it's the credentials to log into the cloud that make the difference. Skype for Business also has the app for every device out there. So this is going to lead me to the next conversation here in a second on other uses besides lecture capture. But the main focus was the lecture capture. But as you can see, there's some nice, I will stop that, possibilities here. So I will go back to the presentation, put my reading glasses on. And so we went there. Okay. So that was the sign in. I kind of went through that ahead of time and showed you how we signed in. But this was very important for the faculty because they need to know once they have to go to the classroom and create a profile for themselves. Once they do it at the beginning of the semester and they log into Skype, it's automatically going to log you in, just like any other application that you've signed in before. So when they're there, it's just automatic. It'll remind them, and they're off and running. So that helps the process. So after we had this, and it was pretty successful, and we got some good feedback from the students, particularly students that would approach other faculty. Hey, so-and-so is doing this in her class. Can you record your lectures too, so that we can review them later? So that's kind of where I was hoping that was going to go, and it's been moving that way. Sometimes you just let the students kind of, unfortunately, dictate kind of what what the faculty should be doing, or not. That's not what I should be doing, but help them what their needs are. So we created a little roadmap, and this is where I was like, okay, as you can see, we have our lecture capture for Skype for Business for Lync, and then we decided, okay, how are they going to share all this? So we created some documentation and a flow chart for ourselves on what they needed to do. UTSA, what we have is we have our own media library. We call it, it's the Helix Media Library. We've had it since the beginning, since I've been there. It works, it serves its purpose pretty well. You put it, it's connected to our Blackboard so they can upload it and quickly search it from Blackboard and link it in their course without doing any embed code if they wanted to. There's some faculty that don't like it, they like YouTube, and that's great. So we created a process on how to use YouTube and create your own private channel, put it on private and so forth, and how to share that with your students. So we have a kind of a three-way, third option here. And we also have OneDrive. How many of you are familiar with OneDrive? Part of Microsoft. And we get a lot of space. All our faculty automatically get, I forget what the amount is, but you get a lot of space on OneDrive. We're like, well, let's just throw a video on there, put a shared folder in your Blackboard course and see how that works. So that way you just have a link in there and says, here's you can add them and move them out of your OneDrive, and the students would see them and not see them as you make them available in there. It works great, but it's kind of a progressive viewing. So if you're, what I mean by that, if you're on a laptop or a computer, it kind of progressively sends it to your computer because it's a video. So it doesn't work the greatest if you're on a mobile device, because mobile devices work a little bit different. They prefer more of a streaming type format. But this works quick and fast if you just need to automatically share it and just put it there and not need to upload it to YouTube, wait for it to transcode, or to our media library and wait for transcode. That was one of the other options. Then we quickly realized, okay, captioning. That's another big thing. So we're working on a process for building how to use YouTube for free to upload your video. And as you all know, it does the speech to text. It's not the greatest. I've kind of looked at a whole bunch of stuff. If you're a pretty good speaker and you don't and you enunciate well, it's going to probably do a fairly decent job. But the great thing about that is it creates your transcript for you already, and it has all the time. So all you have to do now, the hard work is done, is creating that transcript file, that what we call the .srt file that we use. And you can go right there live on your account on YouTube and just go back and edit what you said correctly and clean it up. Instead of having to do it from scratch, you can listen to yourself, hit pause, nope, that's not the word I said, fix it, and make it as accurate as possible, and then you have it there. Then you can take and download that file, because some people don't like YouTube. I'll tell you, some people just don't like YouTube. They prefer to use the one that's because it's our servers, and they feel like it's more protected, and yes, you have to have a login. It's not, And so they'll take that file and then upload it to our server with the caption file that they use YouTube to create, and it syncs it up. So that works really good. And so we created this flowchart, and we're working on building these processes and documentation currently right now. So this is as an example of one of the faculty members at how, and I wish I could get this audio. I'm going to figure out where the volume is coming from. And she put it in our video library, so it's going to go. I'm going to hit full screen and play. That's the thumbnail she picked, but.
All right. Good afternoon. How are you guys doing? I'll do that. You guys doing okay?
And she uses Pressy, I guess you saw that.
All right. I need to see the following people after class.
So you see, this faculty member quickly got the process, got it under control, and while she was there in the class, she would quickly finish it, get the processing, and upload it to her option of how she was going to share it. In this case, this is streaming off of our network media server, and she puts it up there, goes back to her class, back to our office after a while, and just links it in her Blackboard course. So she is also using one of these microphones, and you can see the quality of it sounds pretty good versus using the built-in microphone that's on your laptop, because if you're too far away from it, it sounds like kind of a stadium effect, not very good. So there is a little bit of investment on that and getting a decent microphone. So, and you can see that she just goes through her slides, so. So you get even the cough was picked up pretty good there. I'm sorry? This, okay, so that's on there. So this is what and I don't know, maybe there's some experts on there on the 501 or 505 law, but if it's going fully online and you're going to reuse it as a canned piece or on a hybrid or online course, then it has to be captioned. But these faculty are using these in just a supplemental review process, meaning for the students just to review after the fact so that if they miss the class or they just want to watch the lecture again because they're too afraid to ask a question or fell asleep, in the middle of it or something. You're just using it for that semester and you're not going to use it again, then you don't, I'm not sure. I was told that you didn't have, that's what we're trying to investigate if we have to put it because it's just that one time. If there's a student enrolled in the class and comes up to the professor and says, I'm enrolled with disability services and I need a caption, then we quickly advise the professor, hey, you got to upload it to YouTube and we'll provide you some support to get the transcript working correctly. That's where we're at. As you know, captioning is a different topic and conversation and debate on itself right now, but I just know that the federal law is coming down on all institutions pretty quickly here, even to supersede some of the state laws, because from the state of Texas, you could just give them a transcript, and there you go, you didn't have to do anything. You just give them a transcript, and they were on their own to try to, just read what it was in the video. So yeah, that's kind of where we're at. We're trying not to employ the services of like 3Media Plate, all these third-party applications out there that provide their services, but you quickly add up the cost and how much they cost per minute to transcribe, and you add up all the classes in that course. I mean, you could be talking like $6,000-7,000 just to have that on there. So we're very about using open source and try to use stuff that we have and leverage what we have. So YouTube that's like right now they do a decent job, and like I said, that gets you the transcript and you can go back and clean it up. So that's kind of where we're at with that. But that's a kind of a different topic all by itself right now. Okay. So let's see, where did we leave off? So we showed you that. And what I'd like to talk about here next is some of the other stuff that we can use Skype for. So in there, right now, our next step, we're going to take it, we're going to work with faculty this fall. We got a couple of faculty members that would like to use it beyond just the lecture capture. As you know, when you think of Skype, everybody thinks it's FaceTiming, right? Video. And it does have that feature, which is one of the best features of it. So we are going to try to figure out, we're working with these faculty members to get students to be able to participate live during the lecture capture. Because you can just as easily share that link with your students, put it in Blackboard, and it could be a reoccurring link in there. The student clicks on it, and they're in there. And in your Outlook settings, before you create that meeting, and I can show you if you like, you can set it to where all attendees are automatically muted, and they cannot show their video camera. All they're related to do is using the instant messaging part of it. Because if you don't want them to pipe into your class or they forget to mute their microphone, that could be a disruption in the class, or if they're sitting at home or wherever it is, they're remotely. So you can take control of that. And the nice thing about when you're doing your lecture live and then they have a question, on that little taskbar that we saw, they had the recording and telling you that you were presenting and recording. Another little thing says I am, and it kind of rolls that somebody has just instant message a question. So you can go back and click on it and go, oh, so-and-so's had a good question. So that's one of the cool features about Skype, the instant messaging prospect of it. So that's our next step. We want to look and working with faculty this fall. We have a couple that are willing to help us out this coming semester. Since it's part of the whole Outlook, Microsoft things, and students get it for free, you can also use it. Students can use it because it's free. That you can ask them, you know what? I want everybody to use Skype for your group presentation instead of using everybody giving you different types of links and so forth. They have it. They can download it. It's just part of the free software that the students get. So you can use it for students. Can use it to group presentations. You can use it for your office hours. I know that some faculty, that's how they conduct their office hours. And so they know the students have Skype for Business automatically, and they go, and they have they send an open meeting invite to that student, or that student sent to the professor and accept it, and now they can do video office hours that way at home without having to physically drive all the way to campus, find a parking spot, go to your office if that was one of the days when you were deciding to work from home, especially if you teach Tuesdays and Thursdays, right? Mondays and Wednesdays and Fridays are the research times where you're at, so that can be pretty a helpful tool for you. I personally like the Surface Pro. We gave one of the faculty in the pilot, which I didn't mention, gave them the Surface Pro to see if we could, if they liked using that or using it in the classroom. And of course, he's not going to say that he loved the Surface Pro because we gave him one, and he was able to take that with him, record quick modules on the fly. Like in addition to the recording his lectures, he could do a 10-minute. He was a accounting professor, so he was getting a lot of faculty asking about different things. I mean, a lot of students asking him questions, and so he would just create some little modules on the fly for the students and upload them to Blackboard. And having the Surface tablet, with all that built in, was pretty handy. I'm sorry to say, though, that the Mac platform, because it's Microsoft, has not given the recording function yet to the Mac platform yet. When I talked to them last, the roadmap for that will be middle of next year. They will update from Lync 2010, the Mac platform, they will go from Lync 2010 to Skype for Business, and they're supposed to have the recording function at that time. So they're still working on that. And yes, to have the recording function, you do need a full OS. So you can't take your iPad or your tablet or your phone and try to record a quick session on the fly on your phone. The phone does not have the recording tablet, but you could participate from a phone or a tablet. So, and I've done that before. Ask a professor, hey, I'm just going to privately, you won't even know I'm there. Send me the link. I'm going to keep you. I was able to see everything that they were doing on my Android Samsung phone, which was pretty cool. It actually works on everything. It's just the recording manager function, that little function that I showed you to get to record on Mac and iPads and Androids. You won't see that. You have to have a full operating system, like a Windows 7 or a Windows 8 operating system for it to record. So that's the one, I guess, caveat I should let you guys know, that you do have to have Windows. It is Microsoft, so they are a little bit slow on offering the recording feature to the other platforms, but it is what that is, right? For now. Uh-huh. On what process of it?
Just the security team, the network team having open ports and.
Well, this is, for the nice thing for us, it's hosted in the cloud. So like right now, all I need is a good internet connection. That's why I was very adamant about having a hardwired connection, because that high-speed wireless in here was very spotty throughout the day, and I was like, that's going to ruin my demo if I don't get a hardwired connection. So it's in the cloud, to go back to your question with the security, and so no, there wasn't really many security concerns, because it's like your Outlook, yeah. So another key point to make is, and I don't know if any of y'all went to Ignite, and I guess it was in Chicago recently for Microsoft. They announced they're going to have a Skype for Business broadcast application and a producer application. So what that does, because currently Skype for Business will allow you to have, what is the number? 250, I believe. So you could use it as a webinar function as well. That's another thing. I help a faculty. The other day, he's like, I need to connect to these universities, and we need to record it. It needs to be online, and we need to pass it off from presenter to presenter. And I was like, okay, I'm going to show you how to use Skype for Business that's on your laptop, and I will bring you a webcam, and we'll go through some dry runs. And they loved it, because that's another feature of the Skype for Business, is you can pass on the presenter control. So at the top where you saw when I was recording, it was give control. And you could, if there's somebody in there that you have decided is going to have control ahead of time, you can just pass it off to them. They could, then all of a sudden you see their desktop, and that desktop gets recorded instead of yours. And you see their webcam if they're sharing it. So you can pass it on around and around. So that's one of the other features. So it has a lot of functions on Skype for Business. We're mostly right now is the lecture capture, but we are exploring some of the other options with the webinars, bringing in students in a model where they can participate live. And the best thing to take away is if your university has a Microsoft license, check with your Office of Information Technology and who takes care of that part, and have them see if they can turn that on and bring that part and make it available to everybody so that you can use it for free. So I've been told I'm running out of time, so if anybody has any questions, there you go. You can come up and ask me. As you can see, that there's the Lync interface right there, what it used to look like, and here's the Skype interface right there. So there we are. I thank you for your time.